Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Brian Porter, and I am the Chairman of the Board of Directors of Scotiabank Jamaica Limited. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the 6th Annual General Meeting of members of this company. We are indeed very pleased to be here in Montego Bay and to welcome you, our shareholders and friends, from the western section of the island to this meeting. This is historic for us, as this is the first time that we are holding your annual general meeting outside of Kingston. We hope this move to the second city will provide the shareholders from this section of the island an opportunity to be more involved in these proceedings. We are also indeed grateful to those of you who have traveled from Kingston to be with us here today. I would like to introduce the members of the head table for today's meeting. On my far right is Mr. Charles Johnston, Director, Mrs. Jacqueline Sharp, Senior Vice President, Chief Financial Officer, and Chief Administrative Officer. And next to Mrs. Sharp is Mr. Bruce Bowen, President and CEO of the company. The Board of Directors has asked me to express its deep appreciation to you for your continued interest in the affairs of the group, which is evidenced by your presence here today. For recording purposes, I remind members that only registered stockholders or their appointed proxies can move or second motions, ask questions, and indeed vote. I would also ask anybody wishing to speak to identify themselves by name, state that they are a shareholder of the company, and use the microphone located in the aisle. In respect of the resolutions being presented to the meeting, I will read these resolutions and ask that persons moving or seconding these resolutions so indicate via the microphones provided. I would like to introduce Ms. Julie Thompson-James, the Secretary of the company, who will perform the functions of Secretary at today's meeting. I would also like to introduce to you Ms. Yvonne Godfrey of Deloitte Touche, Ms. Shirley Ramsaran, and Mrs. Carol Ann Logan, whom I have appointed as scrutineers at this meeting in the event that their services are needed. Will the Secretary please advise if a quorum is present? Thank you, Ms. Thompson-James. May I now have a motion to have the notice of the meeting being taken as read? Be it resolved that the notice of the annual general meeting being taken as read. Thank you, sir. Seconded by? Thank you very much. All in favor? Against? I declare the motion carried. Thank you. Approval to change the order of the notice. I hereby seek your approval to change the order of business appearing on the notice of the annual general meeting to address Resolution 3. As the last resolution on the notice, this change is for administrative reasons and will assist us with facilitating the proper flow of the meeting. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. May I now have the motion that the order of the notice of the meeting be changed to allow Resolution number 3 on the notice of the annual general meeting to appear as the last item on the notice. That is immediately following item number 6, special business. May I have somebody move the motion, please? Thank you, Michael. Jeffrey, second. I declare, all in favor? Against? I declare the motion carried. Thank you. I am sure that all stockholders present, as well as management and staff of Scotiabank Jamaica Limited, will join me in expressing sincere appreciation to the members of the Board of Directors of your company for their dedicated service to the company and its stockholders throughout the 6th year of operation. We are very pleased to have a number of directors present this morning. However, before I introduce the directors to you, I believe you might have heard of the passing of one of our very active shareholders, the late Mr. Ralph Chen. Mr. Chen, as most of you are aware, was seldomly absent from these proceedings. In honor of our former shareholder, and by extension to our shareholders who might have passed during the last year, we ask that at this time we observe a moment of silence. Thank you. I shall now introduce the directors present to you. Each is asked to stand when his or her name is called. Mr. Bruce Bowen, Mrs. Barbara Alexander, Mr. Anthony Chang, Ms. Sylvia Kreminska, Mr. Jeffrey Hall, Mr. Charles Johnston, Mr. Warren MacDonald, Mr. Joseph M. Mantelon, Mr. Claude Norfolk, and Dr. Herbert Thompson. We are also pleased to have a number of senior officers of the group and its subsidiaries, and I take this opportunity to ask Mr. Bruce Bowen, President and CEO, to introduce the officers to you.
Thank you, Chairman. As indicated, we have a number of our senior executives of Scotia Group Jamaica and subsidiary companies. But I also want to take an opportunity to introduce to you Mr. Dieter Jentz, who's Group Head of International Banking with the Bank of Nova Scotia, who's down visiting with us. And let me introduce now the senior officers. Mrs. Rosemary Pilliner, who's Executive Vice President, Operations and Shared Services. Mr. Hugh Wayne Powell, who's Executive Vice President of Retail Banking. Ms. Jacqueline Sharp, who's CFO, Senior Vice President. Mr. Michael Jones, Senior Vice President, Human Resources. Mr. Lassant Mitchell, who's Senior Vice President, Wealth Management for the group and CEO of Scotia Investments. Ms. Julie Thompson-James, who you were introduced to, Senior Legal Counsel and Secretary. Mr. Dudley Walters, who's District Vice President. Don't see him here yet. Mr. Courtney Sylvester, District Vice President. Mr. Michael Shaw, who's District Vice President for this area. Ms. Monique French, who's Senior Vice President, Credit Risk. Mr. Gladstone Whitelock, Vice President, Non-Branch Sales and General Manager of Scotia Jamaica Building Society. Mr. Hugh Reid, Senior Vice President and President of Scotia Life. Dr. Wayne Henry, who's Vice President, Government Affairs. Mr. Jim Brown, who's Chief Auditor for the group. Ms. Monique Todd, Vice President, Marketing, Public and Corporate Affairs. And Mr. George Roper, Vice President, Compliance. Very good. I want to also take a moment and introduce, we have some students from UE here observing today the proceedings, and like to welcome you very much to the meeting as well. Mr. Porter, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen. The partner representing KPMG in its capacity as stockholders' auditors is in attendance at this meeting, and accordingly, I have the pleasure in introducing to you Mr. Linroy Marshall. Linroy? Now I will move on to my remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure to be in Montego Bay the past 2 days. As you know, this will be my final time addressing you as chairman of your bank here in Jamaica, as I have assumed new responsibilities with Scotiabank and will not be standing for re-election. It has been indeed a pleasure to serve as chairman for the past few years, and I leave with many fond memories. I'd like to thank all our shareholders for your continued support and for your loyalty this past year and over many years. In a few minutes, Bruce and Jacqueline will provide you with details regarding the performance of Scotiabank Jamaica in 2012. Before that, I'd like to share a few thoughts with you. Scotiabank is very proud of our operations here in Jamaica, which are a very important part of our Caribbean and international network. As you know, we've been here since 1889 and have grown and thrived in this great country. Our ongoing success here is a reflection of the long-term strength and stability of Scotiabank's global operations, which now include a diverse network of more than 80,000 employees in over 55 countries. In 2012, the bank continued its very strong record of safety and trust, something we take great pride in, particularly given the ongoing economic challenges globally. Building on that strong foundation, Scotiabank Jamaica once again achieved good results and solid returns for shareholders, notwithstanding a difficult operating environment. I'd like to thank our team of more than 2,200 employees here in Jamaica, led ably by Mr. Bruce Bowen. Thank you for your commitment to our customers and your contributions to Scotiabank's strong performance. Looking ahead, while the global economy continues to face obstacles, there are some positive developments. To build upon that point to brighter days ahead for the Caribbean region. Most importantly, for Scotiabank's customers, employees, and shareholders, is that our bank is strong, stable, and committed to the Caribbean region, and indeed well-positioned for continued long-term success. I'll briefly touch on the economic picture. The Caribbean economy continues to be affected by the ongoing weakness in both the U.S. and Europe. On the bright side, a growing number of positive indicators continue to emerge in the United States, and we are seeing growth slowly pick up. Strengthening employment conditions, a function of a revitalized manufacturing and energy production, are unleashing pent-up consumer demand and underpinning a rebound of the all-important housing sector and related activity. We are also seeing strength in U.S. equity markets. In the Eurozone, on the other hand, remains in recession, but the acute dangers facing the region that we spoke about a year ago have subsided somewhat, and today it rests on somewhat more stable footing. Sovereign debt borrowing costs are down from the high levels, and progress is being made on addressing the structural, budgetary, and competitive deficiencies in many of these affected countries. While there is still a ways to go in both the U.S. and Europe, overall things are moving in the right direction, which is welcome news in the Caribbean. Jamaica will benefit from a better global backdrop as the country implements a number of important economic reforms. The reforms underway here in Jamaica present a challenging operating environment in the near term as the economy adjusts. These reforms are targeted at reducing the national debt and improving the competitiveness of the economy. The expectation is that the Jamaican government and the IMF will have an extended fund facility, which will serve as an anchor for the structural reform program. While we are paying close attention to the current economic challenges, Scotiabank's commitment to this country and the region has never depended on prevailing economic conditions. For well over a century in the Caribbean, we have established a level of trust based on our unmatched commitment to the region and our consistent, strong performance. Our focus has always been and will continue to be on our customers. Trust is the foundation of any banking relationship, and it's very important to us that our customers see us as a safe place to keep their money and help them reach their financial goals. Here in the Caribbean, we have always been seen as a safe bank, and that hasn't changed. There's no greater evidence of this than the fact that we are growing our deposits at record rates. While we are very much a local bank with deep roots and a strong community presence in Jamaica, we benefit greatly from being part of a large international organization with a strong track record of performance and an excellent reputation. Scotiabank is routinely rated as among the safest banks in the world. Last year, Global Finance magazine put us in the top 12 globally and number 2 in North America in terms of safety and trust. Our capital and liquidity levels remain very strong. Our balance sheet is in excellent shape, and we are fully compliant and transitioned to the Basel III capital requirements. In recognition of our stability and performance, in 2012, Scotiabank was named Global Bank of the Year by The Banker magazine, which is a Financial Times publication. We were also proud to be named Bank of the Year in the Americas, Canada, Antigua, Barbados, Belize, Turks and Caicos, and the British Virgin Islands. We benefit from our strong home base in Canada, which continues to have one of the strongest fiscal positions of any developed nation, and is recognized as having the world's soundest banking system. At the same time, we are well diversified by business, geography, risk, and people, and we continue to build our presence in high-growth developing markets. In 2012, we made our largest ever international acquisition by acquiring a 51% interest in Banco Colpatria in Colombia, which indeed strengthens our network in Latin America and complements our leading position here in the Caribbean. We've shown a century-long commitment to this region that many international banks have not. Despite the troubles over the past several years, we have remained a stable employer, and we are continuing to invest in new processes and expanded services for our customers. We've been a leader in mobile banking solutions, and in fact, we're recognized by Bill Clinton in Time magazine for our mobile wallet partnership with Digicel in Haiti that has helped make banking affordable and accessible to all Haitians. In Jamaica, we continue to enhance our internet banking capabilities and mobile banking applications, which have led to significant increase in the number of customers using both services. To better serve our retail customers, we upgraded and replaced over 200 ATMs for the past year. Ultimately, we are members of the local community. We play an important role in the local economy, and our employees live and work in the neighborhoods we serve. We have a responsibility to contribute in meaningful ways, whether it's offering the highest employment standards and great career opportunities to our team, or by supporting community initiatives. Through our Bright Future program and the Scotia Foundation, Scotiabank has supported nation building through donations and intentions to improve education and health care, as well as promote community development and environmental preservation. Consistent with our commitment to enhance the quality of life for Jamaicans, the Foundation provided some $80 million in project financing in 2012. Youth development remains the major focus of our investment, and in 2012, as a mark of Jamaica's 50th anniversary of independence, we presented 50 scholarships and bursaries to students in secondary and tertiary institutions. We also donated 148 computers to 50 educational institutions. For the 14th consecutive year, outstanding performers in the annual Grade 6 achievement tests were awarded Shining Star scholarships. Among those is the Cornwall Country Scholar. The 15 awardees in 2012 bring the total number of beneficiaries to date to 238. In healthcare, we supported all the major hospitals across the island through the donation and maintenance of equipment, refurbishment of facilities, and underwriting the cost of heart and scoliosis surgeries. Over the past year, approximately 1,400 Scotiabank volunteers supported the Scotia Foundation and other charitable agencies in responding to development needs in communities across the island. I thank and commend each of our volunteers who show their commitment year after year, and would like to specially recognize and congratulate Janet Richards of the Barnett Street Sub-Office for having won the 2012 Bright Future International Philanthropy Awards Outstanding Individual Volunteer Award. So as I mentioned in my opening comments, Scotiabank is proud